well that beard is coming in, man.
When I go, I let it go in the winter.
It's coming up.
See all that hair?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I tell my kids that too. I'm like, I have hair on my face. It's just lower.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah. That's gravity.
All right, everyone. We are going to go live here on LinkedIn. Just give me like 10 seconds. And
there we go.
Got the music going on LinkedIn. So welcome, everyone, to the Exit Your Way Roundtable today. Really excited for our speakers, Dr. Elia, Gourgouris, Apostolopoulos, man, friends, awesome people. They're going to be teaching us how writing your book, which is or writing your first book, or writing your second book, or your 100th book. But these guys did it in record time last year. It's going to be fun to learn from them a little bit later here. So, as we normally do, we're going to go around the room. Andrew or Ira is going to be pulling people up on stage. What do you got, Ira?
It's Dr. Elliot. It's your birthday today, brother.
Thank you.
Woo!
Happy birthday. My goodness, I didn't know that. And credit goes to Alon.
Nice.
Big
Thank you, Alon. Thank you, my friend.
Alone.
Nice. Love it. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So,
Andrew, are you pulling people up, or you want me to do it?
I'm doing it.
All right. So
why not start with
Yeah.
Alon, how are you today, my friend?
Oh, sorry, I'm on.
Okay, so yeah, we are bringing
I was just typing happy birthday to Master Elia.
Thank you. You got it. We're giving you credit for letting us know.
Yeah, and what we do. Oh, where'd he go?
He shut his mic off.
There we go. So as we normally do, we're bringing everyone up, do a short introduction of yourself, and then you get to answer the question of the day. The question of the day today is, what was your most pleasant memory from 2020?
So many crazy things come to mind, man.
He got to go relive his childhood for a week in Israel and eat ice cream out of his mom's freezer. I think that should be.
Well, no, I will tell you what it was. Picking up my daughter at the Atlanta airport after she finished 2 years of service in the military in Israel.
Wow.
During the pandemic. And she just, I'm going to start crying. She had a surgery in her ankle towards the end of the service. And she called me and she felt so lonely at the hospital because we weren't there, her grandma was there and cousins, but, she's my best friend. So when she came finally after she finished at the airport, that hug, that just, you're here. That's what comes to mind is definitely one of the top, if not the most pleasant memories from 2020. Yeah.
Good one.
Thank you for making me relive that.
That's great. I can't hardly talk, so that's why I'm quiet. But awesome. Thank you very much, Alon.
Of course, anytime.
Leave it to the emotional relevance guy to get me crying right away today. Who we got next, Andrew?
Andrew.
That's
Andrew
me.
Deutsch, our friend and video wizard.
Wait, do I have to hold? I'm going to hold a press conference to give you my answer. There we go.
Okay.
How's that?
See what I mean?
The happiest memory of this year, and a friend I haven't spoken to, a guy I haven't spoken to in 30 years, came out of nowhere and reached out to me, and it was like a day hadn't passed between us. It was fantastic, and we've rekindled an old friendship that I thought was long gone. That was the best of 2020. He was worried when he heard that people in Ohio were getting sick from this, and we had a great conversation.
Awesome. So tell people a little bit about what you do, Andrew.
Well, we're a strategic global marketing and sales consultancy. We help our clients grow their business strategy first so they can turn everyone they touch into voracious advocates for their brand.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Andrew.
Thank you.
Brad Smith.
Good morning.
Friend, how are you today?
I am still breathing. We're quite happy with that.
Yes.
Not my happiest moment for the year, but so first what I do, I realized this morning the core of what I do is I help my clients get effective for adding a zero to their revenue. Right?
So that's the thing that if people don't know this about Brad, you've been a coach for quite a while, right?
25 years.
The thing I love about you is you are continually refining your craft. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but man, hats off to you. That's all I'm saying. Sorry.
So, okay. And my happiest moment happened about 4 days ago. I realized I've been without dairy since a concussion in August of 2017. My doctor took me off she said, no dairy, period. And so I went cold turkey and couldn't put it back in because of a reaction my body was having. And I started adding a little bit in about a month ago and realized that I was not having a reaction to it anymore, and realized 4 days ago that I could actually add ice cream back into my life.
Oh, that's a big move.
Yep.
That's a big move. Awesome. Thanks, Brad.
Yep.
AJ, how are you today?
I'm great, Damon. How about you?
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you do and your best memory from 2020.
First of all, I want to wish Dr. Elia happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. You know what? The first people that wished me happy birthday were overseas, because it started yesterday from India and then Greece. And we're like, I could see the international clock going. So it was kind of cool.
That is awesome.
So basically, I'm a business development manager working in an IT staffing firm. So where we help clients to recruit the people according to their skills they require. So
Nice.
The happiest moment in 2020 is to getting this opportunity as a business development manager in that pandemic. So where the most of the jobs has been fired, but still I'm able to get into the better position as a business development manager.
Nice. Awesome, AJ. Glad you show up, man. You're coming to see us in the middle of the night, I know. Thanks for being here.
Thanks a lot, Damon.
You bet. All right, Jacob Warren.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, I do IT services for businesses, essentially helping make it simple for you guys. And really, the happiest moment of 2020 for me happened in Christmas. So I'm a stepdad, and so I actually got, for the first time, the Best Dad Ever cup. So for me, that was the first time in my entire life to get that. And so for me, that made all of 2020 amazing.
Awesome. Can't say anymore.
Yep. That one was just amazing. So
Awesome, Jacob. Awesome. Thanks for being here. Jennifer, nice to see you this morning. Or
Hi,
later.
how are you?
Almost noon for you. Sorry.
Yeah, it's 11:11 here. So
Yeah.
almost lunchtime. How are you? How is everybody?
Awesome.
My name's Jennifer Wegman, and I am a done-for-you content writer and social media strategist. So I help overwhelmed, busy, and frustrated business owners and entrepreneurs take the hassle out of being visible on social. And I say my happiest moment is last September in 2019, we bought a condo in Ocean City, Maryland, and we went there over 4th of July with the kids. And there was this evening, not 4th of July, but right near there. And I was flying a kite with my kids on the beach, and it was like the best moment ever.
Awesome.
So it was just relaxing and such a special moment.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. That's awesome. Thanks for being here today, Jennifer.
No,
Awesome to see you.
Thanks for the invitation.
Mary, how are you today?
I am wonderful. I'm doing great. Glad to see you guys. It's been a couple of weeks.
Yes, it has. It's great to see you again.
Doing very well. I have graduated to writing a blog post. It's called Your Next Dimension, and having a blast doing it. I've got a piece that needed to go out this week it'll be out probably by tomorrow. Going well, but I'm saying, let's see. I have two things I was thinking of. I think the best part was getting my son home at Christmas time. I hadn't seen him other than on the computer for 9 months, and it's not the same thing. But
Yeah.
So I mean, 3D is, as I call it, is really fun. So that's my favorite.
I call it 4D, Mary, because you can smell those suckers too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true too. But it's so nice to have him home.
Yeah. Awesome, Mary. That's a great memory. Thank you. Melissa, how are you today?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for being here, having us here. I'm glad to be here for the new year. So happy new year. I wasn't able to make last week. I'm going to start with my happy memory because I think that's the most fun. So I would say happiest memory was getting married this year with a super small ceremony with just immediate family. So in the midst of COVID, being all of us taking that moment to social distance, but also celebrate something fun and very challenging year. So that would be a best memory. And for me, Brad, I love that you can have ice cream as a fellow coach. I think that's amazing. I don't know what life would be without ice cream. So love that. As a coach, leadership coach, really working with my clients on clarity, confidence, and focus of where they're going, whether it's in the role they're currently in or where they're headed, right, on their trajectory of leadership and elevating where they're at. So thanks for doing this and glad to be here. Happy New Year, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. Great memory. Great memory. Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Great. Good to see you, Damon.
Nice to see you. Glad you're here.
Yeah, good to be here. So my company's Achievement Unlimited, and we work with small to mid-sized companies who want to become more productive, want to get the right people on the bus, want to build their leadership team to achieve their strategic plans. So helping them get all the tools to get the right people on the bus and moving in the right direction.
Very cool.
My best memory of last year was last New Year's of 2020. Got to spend it with my son and daughter-in-law and the 4 grandkids. It's a great memory this year because we haven't seen them all year since COVID hit. So we haven't seen any of the other children or the grandkids live since COVID. So that was a normal occurrence, visiting the kids and grandkids, and this year it was not a normal occurrence. So that's my best memory of kicking off the year with the kids and grandkids.
Awesome stuff, Michael. Thanks. Pete, how are you today?
Good, Damon. Good morning, everybody, and happy birthday again, Elia. I'll save you from my horrible singing. So I help leaders better protect their health and handle challenging situations with grace. And, I had a lot, but as I was thinking about this, the one that stands out the most, it was so unexpected. I was going to the Costco, which, a lot of us do. And I'm walking through the parking lot to the Costco, and all of a sudden I hear somebody calling my name. And I'm thinking, I turn around, and this is somebody I have no idea about. And she comes up to me and she says, "You're Professor Pete Alexander." And I said, "Yes." And she goes, "I just want to thank you for all of your stress relief videos. I love them." And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'm sure that, celebrities and stuff get this stuff all the time, but it was really sweet of this person to take the time to just thank me for that. And, that's just one of those things like Randy, knows very well, these random acts of kindness. And that was one for me. And it was really great. And I felt, it just made the rest of my week.
That's awesome, Pete. It's awesome.
You are a celebrity, though. Everybody knows Professor Pete.
Yeah, everybody in our small circle. But thank
You're
you.
a celebrity among us, so hey.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Pete. Randy, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic, and I'm the Chief Kindness Officer at the PPOC Institute. I provide cultural transformation solutions, particularly for smaller to medium-sized businesses. And of course, I'm a major kindness advocate, as everybody knows. You know, I have so many happy memories from 2020. It's hard to narrow them down, but one of my happiest memories from 2020 was when I had the chance to go and instead of broadcasting from a long distance our podcast, I had a chance to be in Colorado in the office with my good friend and partner, Dr. Elia Gourgouris, and he was kind enough to host me in his home. We had a wonderful experience. I can't even remember who we interviewed for that podcast, but then he was kind enough to take me up into this beautiful canyon, and we had a nice walk and got to hike around and see these amazing cliffs and other things, and it was just a wonderful evening. It was a very gracious host, and I just it was a great experience for me, and so that's what I wanted to share today. And by the way, Elia, happy birthday.
Thank you, man. Well, this is what the happiness doctor does, man. You come to my house, you'll walk away happy, guaranteed. So
I'll tell you what, he will. It's true.
And we're going to feed you some great Greek food on top of that. That's extra. So there you go.
All right. Awesome, Randy. Thank you so much for being here. Rob, awesome to have you today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Good day to everyone. I'll say good day because it's morning some places, night some places, afternoon in others. It's really exciting to be with so many people from around the world. I'm a business advisor. I help businesses find an additional $10,000 or more in their business because business owners are usually so tight and focused on what they're doing, they don't see all the other opportunities that are around them. So I help people grow their business by taking a little bit more of a systematic approach to finding the little things that they didn't know were sitting right there for them.
Awesome, Rob.
And the best thing I learned about 2020 is we're not in it alone. I know a lot of times people, own their business, and I've grown my network so much, and it's so funny because I've had so many conversations with people that are in businesses by themselves, or for themselves, but you can be in a business for yourself, but not by yourself. So it doesn't feel like you're screaming at the wall with no one around you.
Yeah, I definitely got that feeling from 2020 as well, and it's group like these people that come together every week and listen to my whimsical sayings or whatever. I don't even know what you'd call me, but thank you so much.
Hey, I see Ron Higgs there.
And Ron Higgs is right next. So yeah, he's coming up next. So thanks, Rob. Ron Higgs, how are you doing today?
Hey, good. Good morning, everyone. Great to be here. I got to say, I come to really look forward to and depend on this forum for, to get aligned every week and to see all your faces and appreciate all your support. This is really great. So I'm Ron Higgs. As most of you know, I am looking for an opportunity in operations. Right now, I'm looking for something where I get to touch all, operating functions of the business to help the company move forward. My background is mostly in aerospace and defense. I'm comfortable there, but since aerospace and defense is pretty technical, I'd be comfortable with somewhere in the tech sector. So that's what I'm looking for. As far as my favorite memory for 2020, there are a few, but one stands out. So I am I'm an extrovert. On a scale from 1 to 10, I'm probably an 8.5. My wife is probably a 31 as far as being an extrovert. So her birthday is April 18th. And if you remember, and that was a Saturday. So if you remember last year, we got sort of locked down at the beginning of March and people didn't know really what to do, just like, what are we going to do? How long are we going to be here? And everything else, So the weekend comes around and you're like, you'd go out and do your things. For me, I'd go to a brewery, but now that option wasn't there. So we're all kind of stuck in a house, and a couple of her friends texted me and go, hey, we're going to show up at the house and we're going to pull into the driveway and we're going to sing happy birthday to Gina. And so then Gina tells me a little bit later that she goes, "Hey, I have some friends that are going to come over and they want to sing happy birthday to me." And this is a completely different group of friends. So long story short, we had about 15 people in the front yard singing happy birthday to my wife. And then we have a big backyard, so we invited everybody to the backyard, and we kind of stayed socially distant and had a good time. And she was, she was overwhelmed with happiness that all of her friends would come and do that. And so was I. Thought that was a great memory for me.
That's an awesome one, Ron. That's really cool, man. And just that's awesome. That's good. So many great memories coming out today, and that's just another one right on top of it. Thanks for being here, Ron.
Yeah, it was great.
So, Sarah, awesome to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then you can answer your question.
All right. Well, my name is Sarah Phillips, and I work with U.S. Health Advisors. I help individuals, families, and small businesses to access better quality and better price in healthcare. And my best moment of last year was getting both my car and all my credit cards paid off. I have all my bills paid except for my mortgage.
There you go. There's a lot of satisfaction in that. That's for sure. Awesome. Awesome. So great to have you here, Sarah. Thank you
for having me.
Susan, awesome to see you this morning.
Fantastic to see you. Thank you for having me. I'm Susan Gans, and I work with business executives and the C-suite on their key strategic initiatives, so navigating them like a tour guide from where they are to where they want to be, often working with time-starved, harried executives or those who are in growth mode and can't get control of their growth. And I have a happy memory both on the personal side and professional side. Personally, I had a wonderful vacation this summer with my immediate family to Lake George, somewhere we've never been, and it was good to be out of our house and explore some new territory. I spent a lot of time going to places outside. And then professionally, I launched a web show during the pandemic called REST, stands for Resiliency and Empowerment Seminar Today. And that led me to meet Damon. So there you go. Yeah.
Awesome, Susan. Thanks so much for being here, and it's awesome seeing you today.
Thank you.
All right. James, how are you today, man?
Good. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm glad to see you. Now, if you guys don't know James, he was on with the cybersecurity guys a couple of weeks, I don't know, before Christmas sometime. That's what it was. I remember. I'm going to be interviewing him too. This guy knows that scary stuff about the dark arts of these cyber hackers. But anyway, James, tell us a little bit about what you do and what was your best memory from last year?
Yeah, sure. So, like you said, my name is James Grandoff. I co-founded Zero Security. We're primarily a vulnerability research and vulnerability brokering company, as well as kind of, elite cyber mercenary team where, we gather people from all over the world to work together on really amazing contracts. I think my favorite part of last year, I joined a drifting team actually for car racing. So that was probably my favorite thing. I mean, I got really into it, upgraded my car, did crazy stuff to it, learned stuff I never even knew about cars. I think that was probably the best getaway from being on a computer, was being able to work with my hands and actually sweating, So that was actually my outlet for most of the year, where whenever I got frustrated, I'll just work on my car.
That's awesome. It's a great thing. And if I gotta imagine, I used to do the parking lot SCCA racing, and that was always a lot of fun. But I gotta imagine drifting is a blast too.
Yeah, man, it's gotten crazy actually. In Tampa, they started taking over the highways. Like they'll block off the highways and they'll start, drifting in circles and stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, good stuff.
It's not bad.
Well, James, thanks for being here today, man. All right. So Andrew, how are we doing? We got more people.
No, I think that's everybody.
All right. If you haven't been up, make sure to message Andrew or hit the chat so we can get you up. But
yeah, everybody.
We got everyone. So Awesome. So without further ado, what we're going to start to talk about a little bit here is, and I'm going to introduce the two gentlemen on the stage.
Wait a minute, I think you guys need to do the same thing. You got to answer the questions.
Oh, I forgot that last week too.
Yeah.
You did that. Yeah.
I think we all need to answer the questions.
Yeah, we all have to answer the questions, right? So let's start with you, Dr. Elia. We're going to start with you.
Back at you.
His birthday, I spread happiness around the world. I'm international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and leadership training and development, just corporate wellness. That's my sweet spot. The happiest moment, there were so many last year. There were a lot of downtimes last year, but there were as many lows, there were as many highs. I decided to take Coach Khan's challenge to become location agnostic, and went to Greece in the middle of the pandemic and stayed in my home in Greece for 6 weeks. And those entire 6 weeks were like 6 weeks of bliss. Swimming every day, getting tan like when I was a little kid, eating healthy food, walking to the bakery every day, and really more than anything else, connecting with lifelong friends and family who go back 50 years. And it's really those rich connections and the relationships. And that filled my soul. And I've been full since then. I don't know full of what, but I've been full of something, so I'm good to go for this year, I guess is one of my point, because my batteries, I came back to the US and my battery's completely full. So, and I'm going to continue doing that and hope to spend even more time over there. So, yeah.
Nice. All right. So Khan, let's hear about you and your best memories.
Well, let me start off again by officially saying to my good friend, brother, and partner, Dr. Elia, happy birthday.
Thank you, my brother.
Happy birthday. I am a change management, change leadership, and performance improvement expert. I am the founder and CEO of Fresh Biz Solutions, which is an HR consulting company that helps organizations really tap into the talent that they have in their organizations and helping their people become better, become more willing to be engaged in the process and the purpose of the company and the organization, and achieve their goals within the organization. So I help companies move the needle. I'm an author, a co-author along with Dr. Elia, and we'll be talking about that today. I'm an international speaker and facilitator of programs. And at the same time, I am a soccer coach, which is part of my passion. And that's part of the reason why I have the name Coach Khan.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Khan.
I will have to admit, though, Damon, I've got two good ones that I have to share, if I may impose on that. One is I am a father of one of the kiddos that was part of this graduating 2020 class, and having the opportunity to see my daughter finally walk, even in the midst of the pandemic, finding a way to make that happen was a very proud moment for me as a father. As a close level of satisfaction, my kid's sister, who's back in Greece, actually gave birth to 3 beautiful babies, triplets, in the middle of this pandemic. So to me, it's very hard to beat those kind of emotional responses and things like that. So I've had a lot of joyful moments during this past year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good ones. All right, Ira, you're up, man.
Okay, well, my name's Ira. I got fired in 2020, so that was fun. Not my favorite moment, but you know what? It led to my favorite moment. And I'm going to tell you, I had a lot of personal stuff that I could pick, but I'm not going to share that. But as far as business goes, it was kind of a weird and unexpected moment. So that's why I'm going to share it. I had started Bowman Digital Media. I didn't know how it was going to go. I'd never been really a business owner before. I had just built up my social media and had all these clients in my experience. But you know, it was kind of a test. So I started out a little bit timid. But when I ordered my first round of shirts and I put on my logo and I put on my hat for the very first time, it was mine. I had like an emotional response I wasn't expecting, like, you could do this, and you know what I mean? So anyways, if you've never owned a business and you've never had that pleasure of putting your logo on and you're representing yourself, it's something that I can't really describe better than that. But that was probably my best professional moment.
Awesome. Thanks. That's cool, and many of us get to experience that in life, and it is a special thing. So Andrew.
Yeah. It's interesting. There were a lot of them, surprisingly. That's what I think. What's great about this question is it made me think back. That's not what I would have expected. We have so many great moments in 2020, despite everything else. But I think meeting everybody here was one of the great moments, and there's a level of appreciation for the connection, even though we've some great friends here and we've never met face to face, but still, and I think sometimes these bad things happen and make you cherish these connections and moments, more and more. But it was just great to watch how this grew, and it wasn't just a business, kind of motivation to do it. It was just to keep talking to people and stuff. But that, and my kids, we're older, they're adults now, and I got both of them for a couple of weeks at Christmas. I thought about that as the greatest moment, and I haven't had them a couple of weeks in years, but I really had to think about it. My daughter, that was one that happened in the middle of summer. She's in medical school and was doing a rotation, and she found her calling there, and now she's applying for residency, but she saved somebody's life. And came home or called me right after that. You just, I don't know, it's just like to see all that hard work and everything that she did. But she's doing interventional radiology, but she discovered a technology that she basically took a patient who was comatose, and she got the chance to go in with one of her mentors and snake up a tube up into his vein through his leg and clear that clot, and he was up and eating. No brain damage. 10 minutes later, a miracle. Wow. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's pride to be a father, but it's just incredible to hear her find herself there, and that's what she knew. That's what she's doing.
Good stuff. Well, I guess that leaves me, and people know me, so they know what I do. But mine are two things, really. I look back and I go, I never would have ever in my life dreamt that I would be on video or even talking to people like we are today. And I really appreciate that. That's one of the best things. And there's multiple moments in the people I met, the conversations we had in 2020. I just can't even, I don't know how we're going to top it in 2021, but I know we are just because the relationships are building and I just feel that in my heart. The second thing is with my family. But anyway, it's my family. Because we had time with our kids that we'll never have again.
Yes.
That's what matters.
Yep. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I agree with that too. The 2020, a lot of the personal stuff that happened were not spectacular, grandiose moments. It's like, for example, I'll share one of them, and probably a lot of you have this in common. For 20 plus years, I've been out of the house most business days, all day. I haven't eaten lunch with my family probably more, Saturday and Sundays, however many days that is out of the 365 days. But I ate lunch with my family every day in 2020. I mean, every day. Yeah. That to me was a blessing. I got to eat dinner with my family, I think every day in 2020, if not most days. But I mean, the amount of family time that I got with my family in 2020 is so much more probably than even a decade before it all combined. Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff that I could have shared, but it wasn't like, momentous stuff.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's I had 3 months with my kids and they're in their 20s. When the hell are you ever going to get that again? Never. Uninterrupted. It's like, it was nuts. But anyway, so now we're on to the good stuff. We got some time here. We got our great friends, Dr. Elia and Con. You guys now wrote the book, 7 Keys to Navigating a Crisis last year. Start us off with what was the timeline again? So we just got an idea. When you guys team up, we're going to write this book. The pandemic started. You're going to write this book, and then you're going to go, going to do it, and then tell you had it published. What was the timeline there?
So first of all, nothing that we will share with you guys will top what Andrew's daughter did in saving someone's life. So let's put everything in perspective, right? And, as we look at 2020 and even this year, I love the saying that we may not all be in the same boat, but we're all in the same storm of life. So the collaborative nature and the love that I feel in this group, I haven't felt it anywhere else. So thank you all, Damon and Andrea and Ira, for creating such a safe place for us to share both our success stories and also, our weaknesses and our human frailties. And so go back to March 15th, beware the Ides of March, like Julius Caesar, Shakespeare said. I had a very strong prompting that I needed to write a book about the pandemic because I could just feel that 2020 was going to be the toughest year for humanity. I just felt it. I saw it in my mind's eye. And the message was very loud and clear. It was that you got to get this book out in 45 days, not in November, not in 2021. You got to get it out fast. To put it into perspective, the first book that I wrote, 7 Paths to Lasting Happiness, that did become a #1 bestseller, took me 3 years to write. So to go from 3 years to 45 days, you guys, is like, it's insanity. And I picked up the phone and I called my brother and best friend, Coach Khan. I'm like, I'm going to start writing a book tomorrow morning about the pandemic. Are you in or are you out? And in milliseconds, he goes, I'm in. And this was the beginning of the process of how, and we did get it out in 45 days, the ebook anyway. The hardcover took maybe 60 days, but close enough. We got it out in May, and the rest is history. So I'm going to say a couple more things, and then I'll turn it over to Coach Khan. The why is important. Why do you want to write a book? I mean, for us, it was crystal clear. The why was to help as many people as possible because I could tell that millions and millions of people will be suffering. Yeah. It turns out it was billions of people, not millions, billions of people across the world. Yeah. So the why is important. The other thing is, when you decide to collaborate with somebody else, it's a whole different process than writing it by yourself. I've done both now. And I can tell you, it was much harder writing it by myself. It was much, much easier writing it with Coach Khan. But I feel like we're unique in that way because we complement each other. My weaknesses are his strengths. His weaknesses are my strengths. And there was no ego involved. Who came up with the ideas whatsoever? And that's how we got out so quickly. Otherwise, you can get into like, well, that's my idea. Well, now I want to do this. I want to write that. So the fact it was a perfect collaboration in hyper speed, like 45 days. Like literally, we did nothing else for 45 days, nothing. And I give all the credit to him for grounding me because I tend to fly high and I'm a big picture guy. And I love him, and I couldn't have done it without him. No, not a chance. So go ahead, Coach.
Well, I was the taskmaster, I guess, in that sense, cracking the whip, making sure it happens. But yeah, to us, it was a very, very much a labor of love. And we joke about it. We say, normally when two Greeks get together, they start that restaurant. But in our case, we decided to kind of help and feed the world in a different way and kind of nourish their souls in a different way. But the key thing, I mean, if we're going to share a little bit of our journey and our insights and our learnings, if you will, hopefully to help and inspire others, as we're talking about this, if people have questions, they should just add them into the chat or the Q&A piece there, and we can try to find some time to address those. But as a general rule, there are 2 or 3 questions you really have to answer up front. The first one is what Dr. Elia said. Understand why you're writing the book. The why is essential to any sort of project, but especially to a book project. If you have a message to get out, if you have something that you need to share with the world, if you feel that, you know what, I want to be able to kind of establish and grow my credibility, my audience, and start sharing some ideas that will establish me as somebody who knows what I'm talking about. Even before the meeting, we were sitting at tables and people have wonderful ideas and experience that they have out there. They second guess themselves because they go through that process saying, well, who am I to put it out there? Well, it starts with putting it out there. Nobody's going to know you. If you're the best kept secret, as our friend Kurt says most of the time, that's not going to do you any good. And for both of us, it became one of those, important points. We wanted to help people. We had a message to share. We felt it had value. If you're going out there to make money, for most of us, that's probably the wrong reason to do it. You'll be sorely disappointed.
Yeah.
So that's
and as
one.
you know, specifically about the money aspect, just for 1 second, is that for publishing firms, they publish 100 books, only 10 of them make money. The other 90 lose money. But they figure and they bet that 10% will make enough money to be able to pay for the other 90% that doesn't make money. So those are the actual numbers from publishing firms. So money is not the reason to go write a book. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the second key question that people need to answer is who you're writing it for. Who's your audience? Once you determine who you're talking to through your book, that will go a long way in helping you determine the tone, the kind of writing that you want to write. Is it going to be more technical? Is it going to be more conversational? Is it going to be one of those things where it's going to be in crayons, as our friend Andrew says, a lot of times? How am I going to write it? Who's my audience? That is something that you always have to keep in mind. Very much like the avatars that we talk about here when we're talking about a sales process, or who my ideal client is. You need to create essentially an avatar for your book as well.
Yeah.
Elia, do you have something to add to that?
Well, I would say, Ira, is there a question you want to ask?
No, I was going to say it actually helps when you're writing your social media posts too. If you think about the audience, probably in all types of writing, it's going to help.
Yeah, right. I mean, as people that do presentations for a living, a lot of times we speak, we do keynotes, we do facilitate sessions. Anytime somebody comes to us, a client that says, okay, we want you to come and present to our group. My first question isn't what do you want me to speak about? My first question is who's the audience? Because that will drive so much of what you want to do. So that's important. And the third big question that you need to answer right up front is how are you going to publish? Dr. Elia mentioned it and says, you know what, are you going to go with a publishing house with a group that's going to help you publish that has a name, that has the ability to promote a lot of your work? Well, that's a big endeavor, and you need to attack that and kind of fine-tune your pitch and how you're going to go about that in order to get approved before you're going to do that. With
that would take 18 months, number one.
Right.
From the time you come out, I want to write it, that would take 18 months. So if you want to go publishing, that's different. The message for us is we need to get this book out in 45 days. So self-publishing was the only way. We didn't even think about publishing with anybody else because of the urgency of the crisis that we were facing.
Yep.
Right. So again, in that case, if you're going to go self-publishing, there's a process that now the tools and the systems are there to allow for that. There are tutorials. There's a lot of good information out there. We'll share some of our tips and ideas of what we did. But self-publishing is very feasible now for most people to get out there. The key to remember, again, if you're looking at the why, understand that on average, most self-published books will not exceed 100 copies sold. So if you're doing it for the money, that's not going to work for you very well.
However, what it does for you, and I can only speak for my first book that I wrote, The 7 Paths, because I was fortunate enough. I had, 15,000 downloads when I did my marketing, and that's how it became a #1 bestseller on Amazon. How you leverage that best-selling or being an author, just even if it's not best-selling, I wrote it 5 years ago. That truly became my business card. I don't have business cards. The book is the business card. That has opened up more doors than I can possibly tell you to get invited to conferences around the world and to speak as an expert in happiness and so on. So there's something to be said about writing a book. And especially if your motivation is, I want to help people, I want to perhaps educate, inspire, depending on what kind of book you have, teach, mentor, bring value. That's the bottom line. Like, what value is your book bringing? And both the first one and the second book, we decided we don't want just to write something. It's very important that these books are really workbooks. And this is what people like for the most part. It's an easy read. You can really read it in 2 hours, the book that Coach Khan and I wrote. But more important, at the end of every chapter, we have a couple of points for the reader to ponder, just to meditate on, to think about, a couple of questions to answer. And then the third part, which is the most important thing, to take action. So if self-care is the first key to navigating a crisis, how you take care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, people know that intellectually, but a lot of times they don't know how to do it. So we're like, this is how you do it. If practicing being resilient or being flexible and adaptable, yeah, that sounds great. I don't exactly know what that looks like. Well, this is how you do it. So it's the take action that I think the greatest value of our book is, sharing people in a very practical terms. People's attention spans have dropped dramatically, as you know. Exactly. Ira is right. So you got to simplify your message. This is not an academic book. Both of these books, personally written from the heart, not as a PhD, from the heart. Simple, applicable. If you're 18 years old and graduating from high school, or if you're 65, you're going to get something out of it if you turn any page.
Andrew, you have a question out there that I'd like to kind of answer, if I may jump on that quickly. You asked about the avatar piece. Let's take what Dr. Elia just said for a second. He said, we wrote it this way. We wrote it from our heart in simple terms and with practical advice at the end about how to do that. We did that on purpose because who we were trying to reach, the audience that we were trying to reach, were people, everyday people. Yeah. People that needed some insight, that were tired of statistics, of high-level brow information, of all this other stuff, and needed to say, okay, help me figure out my day. Help me figure out if what I'm feeling normal or not, and find ways to cope with this. So when we wrote the book, the avatar that we created was essentially the average person out there that's struggling for answers, that's already under a lot of pressure, that really doesn't have a lot of time or ability to focus right now. So we wrote a book that's easy to consume, written in very plain language. We avoided a lot of the jargon and the technical terms. We provided practical information. Why? Because we knew who the reader was. So we put ourselves in that reader's shoes and said, okay, if I'm reading this, can I get it done in a simple way? The other thing is that when people are looking for how-to books or self-help books or nonfiction books in general, they're looking for a methodology that says, okay, give me the tools, give me the practical tips that I need, and make it like a cookbook. So I can read it from cover to cover, but if I want to open up a chapter on a particular recipe, how the hell do I do that? Yeah. And can I get to it quickly in a way that makes sense? So that's essentially why we built it. Now, if we were writing for an academic audience or a scientific audience or for professionals or for a business, that's a very different thing. If you're writing your book in mind with the C-suite and saying, I'm going to publish a book about how to be a better C-suite member, a CEO or a COO, or whatever the case, I'm going to write it very differently. If I'm writing a book for HR professionals, that's a different audience. Does that help answer the question? I hope it does.
Yeah, yeah. So, go ahead. Someone else?
I was just going to say that, and then structurally, once we came up with the title, like 7 keys to, obviously the word crisis would be in the title. Khan came up with the word navigating, which I think is beautiful because I think that word actually has been used a lot now, how to navigate this, how to navigate that. And then we come up, okay, if it's 7 keys, what are those 7 keys? So you start off with, we started like with 20 keys and then we narrowed it down. And so we got the 7 keys. Then there was a flow to it. So there's a purpose why self-care comes first. And then kindness is number 7. We didn't just say, let's write 7 chapters and throw them in there. There's a reason why there's the sequence. Once you have that down, then you begin to fill in, each one of those 7 keys. I mean, so that's kind of like structurally how we began to narrow it down.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering, because if you start from the topic, your main topic, and then your topic, and then your main points you want to do, and then get it to flow through right, just from the summary level, not anything else, but make sure that, okay, like you guys did, we've got our title, and then the steps that we want to include, and then make sure they're in the right sequence, and then you started writing detailing each sequence. Is that kind of what you did?
Yeah, we kind of outline each one of the sequences, and then once you outline, then you start plugging in the meat, basically. Studies that were done, or anyway, that's how it's done. Yeah.
It's overwhelming, Damon. It can be very overwhelming when you start looking at writing a book and you say, okay, I've got all this information in my head and I want to put it down on paper. If the way that you approach it is I start writing, That's one way, but that's a harder way in my mind of being able to do it. If we think about the concept of, that proverbial question of how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. You got to break the work down to those pieces. Writing a chapter or a section of a chapter is a lot easier than thinking about writing a book. But once you break it down into those pieces, and you can get notes even on simple index card or post-it notes, and you start writing those key pieces down, then all you have to do is reorder them, put them in the place that you need, and it becomes a lot easier to be able to manage.
And by the way, there were also, there were some of the 7 keys that were clearly my strengths. Like I know self-care inside and out. I wrote the book on happiness before, so that was easy for me. Or the awareness part. Con was great when it comes to preparation and initiative. I'm not very good at that. I mean, those are his strengths. So we divide and conquer, basically. And we both went with our strengths and trusted one another enough. So if I would write the majority of one chapter, then I would say, give me feedback. What do you see there? What did I miss? What do you like? What should we take out? And that went back and forth like a tennis match, back and forth every day. At the end of every day, literally, at 10 o'clock at night, it's like, okay, what did you do today? Here it is. Read it. Give me feedback. And the feedback was, by the way, again, no ego. Don't deny. Don't get defensive about what you wrote. Because I know when you write, it's kind of personal. It's like, ask for more feedback. Tell me more. Explain why you feel like that we shouldn't have that in the book. Or we should share more about this particular subject because you like it a lot. And that's what made it a successful collaboration.
That's cool, because I think that's one of the things that a lot of people would get hung up on is I'm going to write this book then, and it is so much pouring your heart out, right? No matter, I don't even care if you're writing about thermodynamics or something, if that's your deal. I would imagine that the editorial part of it, you have to be open to that, just because, and let someone else you trust read it. So,
and by the way, when we were done, then we have 4 people that we totally trust, like my wife, Randy, obviously, who's going to talk about that too. There were people that we trust that said, now give us feedback. I think this is as good as we can do it on our own. Tell us, give us some feedback. Fortunately, the feedback was, we love your book, minor adjustments here and there, which made it easier, obviously, so we can get it out in 45 days. But you always want to vet it out before, it goes into formatting and before you publish and so on, obviously.
Oh, can I throw out a couple of thoughts about that, following up on what Elia said?
Yeah.
Having self-published a couple of books myself now, and I helped Elia and Con format the 7 keys for navigating a crisis. There are a few key things. Going along with having a framework, like Con and Elia were saying, an outline of what you're going to say. Before you even start writing the book, Amazon provides, if you're going to self-publish, Amazon provides a ton of tools to help you to be able to do it well. And one thing I would suggest that will absolutely make your life so much easier is right off the bat, you decide what size book you're going to have. For example, Elia and Con decided to make it 6x9, but they decided that after they'd already written it. I determined my latest book, I just came out with a book called Daily Dose of Positive, 90 Days of Timeless Nuggets to Enhance Your Life. I decided ahead of time that it was going to be 6x9. And so I knew that, and Amazon provides a template, a 6x9 template, and it's already formatted.
Okay. Yeah.
And stuff. And so you can use that. And then understanding too, there's 2 different, if you're going to do a Kindle version and a paperback version, there's 2 different formats. Amazon provides what's called Kindle Create. Once you get you get the template, you get the book written and stuff, and you can go into Kindle Create. It'll pull the file in there and format it for the Kindle. There's a few tricks once you get in there, changes that you have to make, but you can use that tool. It'll make the process go a lot faster. And then for the paperback version, it's a PDF, PDF file. And anyway, there's other tricks to that, but knowing and understanding those formatting tricks and preparing the document actually ahead of time before you even start to write it'll be a huge time difference maker. I wish I had known that before.
So you're saying so you're saying that you should get into the Amazon tools, and is it like a Word document that you can download, or
It is. They have a whole slew of they have a thing that says, okay, what is your size going to be? Okay, here's the template for that. Here's the Word document. You can download it and
I see what you mean then. That's
then you just tweak it a bit to make it work for you. But
yeah, that's cool.
So I know we're running low on time, Damon. So a couple of things that I just want to add in, if I may, to help people that are looking for to write this as part of their business plan, as part of what they want to do professionally.
Yeah.
The same way we said, why are you writing it up front? It's important to understand as you're building this asset, if you will, because it is an asset for your company, for your brand. It's important to think about what's next. How am I going to use this? Dr. Elia says, I built a lot of my business using this as a calling card. Randy's become the kindness giver and become well known because of how he's used that asset for himself. For us, it's been this piece as change management experts, as people who understand crisis leadership. We've been able to kind of establish ourselves as a brand from that piece. But then what's next? I mean, already we're looking at that right now, and we've taken a lot of the content of the book, and now it becomes a big part of what we're offering to our audience. People that got to know us through the book are saying, okay, what else you got? So now, for example, we're coming out, like we talked about, on Monday, we're launching a 30-day challenge to our followers, to the people that are interested in finding out how to navigate any crisis. So we're going to take all of those principles from the book and we're going to enhance that. There's going to be opportunities for us to share a lot of our more in-depth secrets through videos, through communication, through real-time coaching, and opportunities to step even away from that group into one-on-one, or I should say in this case, one with two of us, opportunities to kind of have real-time coaching sessions and masterminds as an offshoot of this piece. So I'm going to add the link into the chat notes for anybody that's interested. But keep in mind of how are you going to use that asset. Don't just write a book and just let it die there on the vine. Maximize that asset, understand how that can benefit you and others, and understand why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that it was an unexpected surprise. Initially, we wrote it for individuals to help, housewives, fathers, brothers, sisters, help them through the crisis. It's when the economy first opened up the first time, I want to say about middle of June, organizations and companies started coming to us and saying, hey, we need help with our employees. We don't know what to do. Like they're scared, they're depressed, they're anxious, they're stressed out. Help us to navigate that. And that happened from like Fortune 100 companies like Bank of America that came to me in which I did a presentation in July, all the way to nonprofit companies and everything in between. So an unexpected benefit. So you go for the book. Now we have our 30-day challenge starting on Monday, the 18th. After that, we're going to have like a 2-month mastermind that's going to follow up that. So you're building a pipeline, not just for income, but of influence. And you're expanding your brand as a result of that. So the book can go as far or as little as you want to take it, honestly.
Yeah. For some people, it's simply for some people, Damon, it's simply a lead magnet. It's one of those things that they put out there and said, hey, I've got this quick, even if it's a 10-page ebook, can you write something that has your name on it that presents you in a way that's a little bit more than just sending a business card to somebody? Saying, hey, here's some information about me. Here are some of the ways that I help my clients.
Yep. Cool. Well, Ira had to leave. We had a couple of people that had to leave they had meetings, but this is awesome stuff because I think what you've done is the technical stuff, Randy. That's helpful because I think a lot of people wouldn't have thought about that. They would have just started writing. And I know it's huge to format a book. And Rob Bedell was in here and he said something about, hey, you can find people to help you format. And I know you guys probably had people to help with graphics and other stuff like that. But that technical aspects of knowing you can get them on Amazon and start, that's really big. And then from what you guys said about the outlines, starting with the topic and working through your main points and doing that, I think is very helpful. And because I've tried myself a couple times and I've got some thoughts about it, but this really gave us some good information. So thanks a lot, guys. And we're going to let Andrew wind it up. So we're going to drop off of LinkedIn here in just a second. Thanks everyone there for joining us. And by the way, if you see me looking over like this, I'm trying to check the LinkedIn and make sure I'm not texting or something like that. But thanks.
You're over there watching the news, man.
Yeah, watching the news. No, I don't watch news. I'm not the guy that watches that. So. But
and Damon and Andrew, and we're open to answer any questions either in the next half an hour or in the future. We have you have our contact information. Any way we can help anybody to prepare to write a book or to, we're open. We're here to help. It's a process that worked for us, and it worked really well. Yeah, and I'm blown away by the opportunities that we have as a result of this book, because that wasn't our initial intent. But God is good, so I'm grateful, to the spirit above that had that inspiration to write this book.
Yeah, that's awesome, and thanks guys for stopping by and sharing with us today. Now we're going to drop off LinkedIn Live. We're going to go back to the tables. We're going to have some additional conversations there. Thank you once again, Andrew. Take us away.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, thanks, guys. Great tactical advice on how to get a book good and the emotional behind it. What I didn't expect from this was, getting some insight, too, in the partnership. Something you guys maybe want to consider as another topic, how well you work, you guys. Because I think one of the hardest things, and I think everybody agrees in this room, one of the hardest things to get done is to get a book written. And maybe the second hardest thing is to do a partnership the way you guys are doing it. It's really good to be commended. Anyways, great, everybody. We'll go back to the tables now and hang out if you want, and we'll see you again next week.
All right. And next week we've got our networking. So if you got somebody you think would join the group, bring them in. I forgot to say that earlier, but hey, ittle be fun. We added a few new people. It was awesome. We're going back to the tables.